All right, good afternoon from the Education Professional Standards Board. Welcome to this informational meeting about the new online application process for the CA1 and CATP.
So click on the screen.
All right, just a few words about technology and such. All users will need a username and password in order to use this. Applicants must also have Adobe Acrobat Reader software installed if they want to electronically download the certificate. This system is limited to in-state applicants only, so out-of-state applicants will continue to use paper applications. All right, the next two slides just show EPP approved program pathways and non-EPP approved. So this first one is the ones that do need approval, and you have, of course, initial certificate or rank change based on completion of a Kentucky approved program, rank 2 based on completion of an approved graduate program, a rank 1 based on completion of 30 graduate approved credit hours, and on the horizon, you've probably heard about the proficiency evaluation, which is another option that is coming. All right, this next slide has the non-EPP programs. Just as a reminder, there's National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. There is a rank change based on the CEO, Continuing Education option, and a rank change based on content degree.
Hi. The initial certification based on completion of an approved program. This may be undergraduate initial certification program completers. This may also be individuals who go through a traditional program at the master's level. The flow of this process will be that the applicant has to log into our website with their username and password to complete or to initiate the application. The applicant's status has to be updated and has to show up in admission exit system in order for them to select a program. They will only be able to choose the program that they were enrolled in and completed. This will keep potential applicants from being able to select an incorrect program in which they weren't enrolled, but they have to be showing up in admission exit to be able to select a program. The candidate will complete the character and fitness portion of the CA1 application through the online module. They will then also be prompted to submit an official transcript to EPSB. At this time, the transcript submission will be exactly the same as it is done now. They can either submit it electronically through the National Student Clearinghouse, or they can have a hard copy sent to us by mail. But the applicant has to go through the proper channels with the institution to order their transcript. The EPP or the IHE, we use those terms interchangeably here, will verify the program completion and make the recommendation for the certification and or rank change. If the person is getting their initial certification as a rank 3 or a rank 2, that will be done at that time. The rank 2, based on completion of an approved master's or a planned 5th-year program. The flow of this process will be similar to the CA1 for initial certification in that the applicant will initiate the application. They have to show up in admission exit as admitted and program completer for a rank 2 approved program. The applicant will complete the character and fitness portion of the application, and the applicant will then be prompted to order or submit official transcript to the EPSB. Now, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, this won't be an instantaneous process. This is just a reminder to the applicant at that point that, by the way, you're going to need to submit a transcript. So they'll have to go through the normal channels to do that. And then once they've done that, the IHE will verify program completion and make the recommendation for certification and or rank change. And then the final scenario in which the university will recommend is the rank 1 based on completion of a 30 graduate hour program, or a planned 60-year program as it's commonly referred to. The applicant will initiate the application. They must show admitted and admission exit to an approved rank 1 program. They will complete the character and fitness portion of the application. They'll be prompted to submit an official transcript to us, and then the IHE will verify the program completion and make the recommendation for certification and or rank change. Now, the next few slides, we're going to get into a little bit more detail on these processes for rank change or certification, what you're going to see when you log in. This first screenshot that you will see here is what you should see, and depending on your roles at the university, you may not see all of these options that are shown on the screen, but the one that you're looking for is the one I've pointed the arrow to. It says EPP college recommendation. Hopefully everyone who is on this call today is the designated certification officer, or there may be multiple people per institution, and everyone should have this, this access when this goes live. When you click on that link for EPP college recommendation, it's going to take you to this next screen. On this screen, the certification officer has the option of either searching for a particular candidate in the boxes at the top of the screen. You can search by first name and last name. You can search by social. You can search by EPSB ID number. So if you have a particular person that you're looking for, you can search it that way, or you can look at the list of candidates in the box below. There is a blue the column heading that's in blue across that page. Those columns can be moved. You can actually click on, we recommend clicking on like the application type, or if you want to organize it and put your application status first, you can click on that column heading and drag it to the left to organize your list in a way that better that works for you. So if you want to look at all of your CA1 pending applications, then you would drag your application type all the way over to the left, so it would sort them by application. And then from there, you can look at the ones that are pending applicant signature or pending university signature, or so be it. The next screen, actually, if you wouldn't mind, Donna, would you back me up one screen there? When you get to this screen, and let's say in this case you are looking for the one that says certification, CA1 certification and or rank change based on recent completion of a Kentucky Educator Preparation Program. If you click on that top arrow there, when you click on that in the screen, it will take you to, and now go ahead and go, I'm sorry. It'll take you to this next screen. And here is where you can verify the program type and the status at the top of the recommendation page. So if you see that this person has a CA1 pending application that is pending the certification officer's signature, you'll click on that application type and then it will take you to this page. Now you're just seeing the top of the recommendation page. It was too long of a page to put it in one screenshot. So this is just the top portion of the page, and this is where you'll verify that you are looking at the correct student and what program they are enrolled in. Go ahead. And then this is the bottom of the page. So this is where you can verify that they have indeed completed the program. This is essentially where you are making the recommendation. Your digital signature verifies that you are recommending this person for a rank 2 based on, you know, the program that they're enrolled in. And you'll have to enter your password to digitally sign the application and make the recommendation. This comment box currently only allows for, I believe, 1 comment, but Scott has assured us that by the time the system goes live, this will be available to enter more than 1 comment. Once the certification officer has signed off on the application status on this first screen, this is kind of a zoomed in version of that first screen that I showed you, the application status will change to approved. Now, I don't have an image of one in the application status column showing approved because this was just what was available in our development database, but under the application status, you'll see one that says approved. And you'll also see to the right there that it has a little PDF icon. If the university wants to print or save a PDF copy of the completed application, this is where you can do it. I know some of the institutions like to keep a copy of it for the individual's file, and this is where you can do that and either print or save a copy of the application. The next few slides are about the non-EPP approved programs. This is going to be just more informational for you all because you will not have a step to do in this process. For the first one, rank change based on national board certification. The applicant is going to initiate the application. They will have to complete their character and fitness portion, and then the applicant will be prompted to upload a copy of their national board letter. This pathway does not require a college recommendation. Also, the CEO or continuing education option, the applicant initiates the application. They will complete the character and fitness portion. They will upload a copy of their CEO program completion letter. And then again, this path does not require a college recommendation. And finally, if an applicant completes or is working on a content area degree, this is a program degree that's in their specific academic area, not through the College of Education, they will initiate the application. They will do the character and fitness portion. They will have to submit official transcripts to the EPSB either electronically or by mail, and again, the recommendation from the university is not required. There is also an option with a content area degree if they are possibly working towards maybe a PhD or some advanced degree in their area and they've got 30 hours beyond their rank 2, but they're not finished with the degree yet. They can also apply for rank 1 through this route. The process is the same. They initiate the application, they complete their character and fitness portion, they submit the official transcripts to us, and no college recommendation is required. The application, once it goes through the steps, if it's something that we are waiting for the university to sign off once it's gone through those processes, or if it's a rank change application that does not require a university sign off, the application will be routed electronically to the appropriate certification consultant here at the EPSB for a first review of all the materials. This is the point where the official transcripts will be matched up with the application. This is where if we're missing anything like the transcripts, the certification officer will email the applicant and let them know, you know, please submit payment or please submit official transcripts. If the applicant has answered yes to any of the questions on the character and fitness questionnaire, this is the point where it will be routed over to our legal division for either a first review, or if it's something that has to go for initial review with our board. Once all materials are here and accounted for and everything matches up in admission exit, and we've got the, if there's employment required, the certification consultant will then create the credential in our system, and it will have a status of pending. The application will then route to another consultant in our division for review and final approval. Now, just to give you a little information, we already do this process now. We just do it with paper copies. Usually, the certification officer that handles that part of the alphabet will process the case, the certificate will print, and then that consultant will pass that packet of whatever certifications they process that day to the next consultant down the hallway to check the accuracy, make sure nothing was missed. So we already do this process now. We're just going to be doing it more electronically in the future. Once an application receives a final approval from the second level consultant, the credential status will be changed to certification issued, and a digital certificate will be created in our system at that point. The applicant will receive an email notification from the EPSB, and no paper application, or I'm sorry, no paper certification will be issued any longer. Also, because we had this question come up in our discussions, I know some of the institutions would like to also know when an application is complete. And this goes back to what I had discussed on the previous screen. This is the point where you will see once an application has been completed and approved by the EPSB. So if you have recommended someone for a rank change or a certification, and at this point, once the certification officer has signed off on it here at the EPSB, the status will change to approved, and the EPP will be able to print or save a copy of the application. And I believe we have some questions that might, that we've had some people type in, so what do we?
Let's see. I think we've done this. Sometimes candidates will apply before they're eligible.
So one of the questions that came in is sometimes candidates will apply for certification before they are eligible for the recommendation. Will the transcript and payment be held? Yes. If they submit the transcript to us, as long as the transcript is complete, if it's got all of the grades posted, if it's a degreed program, we have to see that the degree has been posted. That process will not change. We will, if we get a transcript in, we will hold on to it until the application is complete. Same with the payment. If they make a payment online through ePay, it will be held as basically as a credit to their account until a corresponding application is submitted electronically. There's another question. Does this mean that if a candidate completes an approved rank 1 program that they will not use this process? No. If a candidate completes a rank 1 program that is an approved program through an EPP, they have to go through through this process, the online process. The only exceptions that they will not be going through the CA1 online process is if they're coming from out of state and their EPP was an out of state institution. I'm trying to think. I know we've had some discussions about what other forms, but if it's an if it is a Kentucky college or university that has an approved program with the EPSB, then they're going through the CA1 online process for rank change or initial certification. Another question come in. How will you know that the planned 6th year transcripts are complete? we will be, I'm assuming from a certification standpoint that we would be looking number one, we would be looking at the transcript, or I'm sorry, the recommendation from the university and the date that the recommendation was made. If the transcripts come in, and let's say that if it comes in, sometimes we'll get transcripts before the term is even over, and it will show on the transcripts that a course is still in progress. We do, I wouldn't say a thorough review of the transcripts, but we always look to make sure that the current term is complete and that the grades have been posted. Sometimes if we see that there's still a course in progress, yet we have a CA1 application here where the university has made a recommendation as of a certain date, particularly if it's a degree program and we don't see that the transcript shows the posted degree yet, then we will follow up with the candidate and ask them to send an updated transcript. Typically, that usually means that they've ordered the transcript and forgot to select or didn't know to select hold for grades.
Okay, we had another question. When will this program become live, and will there be a period when candidates can do either paper or the online version? And we are planning on this going live within the next 2 weeks, so by February 1st. And we will have a grace period. We will continue to accept paper applications. We understand that many of your candidates have already started the process, and so there will be a grace period, so to speak, before a cutoff date, which we haven't set a date, but I'm thinking late winter, early spring on that, and we'll get a date once that's determined. We'll get that out to you all so that you know. Let's see.
Okay, so there's a question. The candidate must be exited from admission exit prior to the EPP approval. Yes, and the answer to that is yes. Just like it is now, when we process a paper application and we go into the admission exit screen, we have to see that that candidate has been exited from the program as a program completer. So the process will be the same. You all, when you make the recommendation, they have to be exited. And I'm looking over to Scott for, do you know, Scott, if the application will allow the certification officer to sign off if they haven't exited from the admission exit? It will. Okay. He's saying that it will not let you do the sign off on the recommendation if the candidate hasn't been exited. So that should be one of the safeguards to prevent that from happening. And if it's not letting you sign off on the recommendation page, then that might be something you'll want to check to make sure that they have been exited as a program completer. Okay, so there's a question about option 6 candidates, and if you'll hold on just a few minutes as we get through these questions, we have another PowerPoint that is going to cover the CATP and the option 6 candidates. So we'll get to that in just a couple minutes. Will you develop a PowerPoint with screenshots that we can use to share with our candidates? We are going to, this PowerPoint for the EPPs is going to be posted out on our website. We're going to do a separate presentation with the districts. And then we do plan to put one together, some type of a tutorial for the candidates as well. That has not been done yet, but we're trying to get through the district and the EPP process first, but we will be developing a step-by-step guide for the candidates as well. There's a question about praxis scores, and yes, there is a check for praxis scores. Although I believe the candidate, do you know, Scott, again, if the
CATP, we're checking praxis scores.
Okay.
CA1, it still has to be done by the consultant.
Okay, and I'm not sure if everybody heard that or not, but the CATP application process does have a system check for praxis scores. It won't let the person be put in for KTIP or recommended for KTIP without the praxis scores. But since the CA1 process is not contingent on them completing KTIP, we have to check the scores manually here when that certification officer does the first review. So that is something you all will still want to check before you sign off on the recommendation, but it can take your recommendation and then and still be processed so that it goes for review with the certification consultant here.
For planned 6th-year candidates.
Okay, I'm concerned about accepting transcripts for planned 6th-year candidates before we have reviewed their recommendation eligibility due to course substitution as such. I would think that that would be up to the university. If the university has an approved planned 6th-year program that you all have admitted a candidate to, I would think that the institution would have had to have already reviewed their prior coursework and allowed for, to let them know what coursework is going to transfer into your planned program. So I'm not sure about that, other than that should be something that should be done on the front end when the candidate is admitted to a planned 6th-year program, not on the back end when you're recommending them for the rank change upon completion of it.
Completion of endorsements.
What about completion of endorsements, electronic or paper? Endorsements will still be done through this too, right, Scott? Yes, endorsements will still be done through the CA1 application because it's for an additional certification. So the process will be the same for endorsements. Praxis for CA1, does it prohibit submission? I'm not sure that I understand that question. That's from Margaret Moore. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Dr. Moore. If you're referring to, I'm not sure if you're referring to the Praxis 2 for for like an initial certification or additional certification. Again, like I mentioned a moment ago, for the CA1 application, we will still have to be double checking to make sure we've got praxis scores. If a person is being recommended for a new certification that requires a test, we're still going to be checking that in our testing screen just like we do now. Does the technology prohibit recommendation if the scores have not? No, not on the CA1 application. So to answer your question, does the technology prohibit recommendation if the scores have not been received by EPSB? Scott said no, not on the CA1 application. However, it will prohibit you from signing off or recommending for KTIP on the CATP application because that one is contingent on scores. As far as the CA1, we still have to verify that we have the scores on file before that consultant can complete their first review. Anything else?
All right, I think we've covered all the questions that we've had up to this point. Thank you. Some very good questions. We have switched over now to the second PowerPoint, which is an overview of the CATP and that process. And the same slide here that I went over earlier, that everybody has to have a username and password, and that this is limited to in-state applicants only. And this next slide is just an overview of the process here at the beginning. The candidate, of course, must be admitted into an Option 6 program in our admission and exit system before the district can start the application. So the process flow here looks like this. The district initiates The candidate completes the character and fitness portion. The EPP verifies enrollment and uploads the mentoring plan. And then the district, it goes back to the district who verifies the results and submits to us.
So the application process for the applicant is going to start like the applicant. Well, let me back up. Since the CATP application has to be initiated by the district where the candidate is being employed, they are going to go into the online system, and I believe there may be a screen for that possibly later. Yes, there is. And I'll reference that when we get to that point. But the district is going to initiate the application. Once the district initiates the CATP application, that applicant is going to receive an email notification to log in to our website and complete his or her portion of the application. It's going to go through the legal review. It's going to verify their demographic. They will have to double check to make sure everything that their district entered is correct. The district, if they indicate that they're wanting to hire this person as a middle school math teacher and that individual has been admitted to a middle school math program at your institution, then that's going to be the only choice that the district is going to see to choose from. So that again is kind of a double, just a way to double check to make sure that the candidate isn't being recommended, or in this case requested by the district for an area of certification in which they're not enrolled. So when they are put into admission exit by the university, that's going to be the only program that the district is going to be able to see to select from. The college attendance information will be updated by the applicant at this point, but they will be prompted to submit official transcripts if they haven't already. Any other certification information, for instance, if they've been certified in another state, or maybe they had gone through a alt-cert program previously but maybe didn't complete it, their character and fitness questionnaire, and then they will do their summary and sign off. Then once the applicant has finished their part, the EPP is going to get a notification email of any pending applications that are of their students. The EPP will select an applicant from the list of application in the EPP college recommendation module that have the status pending university certification officer signature. And again, this is that screen where if it works best for you to sort your list of candidates by application type rather than candidate name, you can drag that application type column header over to the left to sort it that way. The EPP can, at this screen, also see the status of other applications. In this case, we're using the CATP applications that are tied to your institution. For an EPP to do an initial enrollment, this is going to be your temporary provisional for your first time applicants. They will go to the, from the previous screen, they will select the candidate that they're trying to recommend. So they'll select the candidate's name from the list of applicants. They will go to this screen, which is what we would call the recommendation page. They will select the enrollment status from the drop-down menu in Section 5 as initial enrollment. They will enter the admissions date, and this is the date that they are enrolled into the option 6. And then they will need to upload a copy of the mentoring plan. At this point, they will double check the verification or check the verification box that says, I verify that our institution has received passing scores for all EPSB required assessments. And then they will digitally sign by entering their password, and then they'll the green arrow to agree and digitally sign. They can also, you all can also go up above the section 5 where it says view application, and then in blue it says view entire application. If you want to look at the entire application at any point, you can click on that link to take a look at it. So this screen will show you what a first renewal looks like. So if the applicant has been in the temporary provision or been on a temporary provisional certificate for their first year, and now it's time for them to renew it, you're going to go, you would go back on that previous screen again. You would select the applicant. You would go into their recommendation screen here. You would select their enrollment status and choose for continued enrollment first renewal for this renewal. Then it's also going to ask you here to select their KTIP status. If the applicant has completed everything that they need to do, and maybe they're ready to KTIP in their second year, not always the case, but it does happen sometimes, then you would you would check the yes button. If you check yes, then you're not going to have to upload a mentoring plan. But if you mark no, you will be prompted to upload a mentoring plan at this point. The next, this came up as a comment in our, when we kind of did a test run of this, but currently there is a button there for waiving KTIP. And on that next bullet point on the slide, it says if a candidate is already certified and not required to complete KTIP, click on the waive button and the EPSB will waive test scores. There is ongoing discussion about this since the option 6 moving forward is not in, you're only going to be able to use option 6 for initial certification only. And this will not be able to be used going forward in the future for somebody who is adding certification if they're already a fully certified teacher. This waive button, you may or may not see this. So this is kind of on the horizon. We're working out some issues and there's discussions going on what to do with that. So stay tuned for that. We'll have more information on that in the future. Next, you'll have to verify that the applicant has had 6 or more, at least 6 hours towards the program since the last renewal. You'll check that verification box. And then at the bottom of the page, you will digitally sign by entering your password. And I'm going to stop right here just for a second because there was a question that came in. It says, are EPPs responsible for alerting students that they need to renew? And the answer to that, I would say, is no. The applicant, we tell people who call in that it's the educator's responsibility to keep up with their certificates. When we issue the previous certificate, it has the expiration date on it and it has the renewal requirement on it. They need to be accountable for making sure that their requirements are met for renewal. They may ask you how to go about it, or they may call here and ask, what do I need to do to renew? But it's not the university's responsibility to remind your folks to renew. EPP steps for the continued enrollment second renewal are similar to the previous slide. So this time you will select enrollment status as continued enrollment second renewal. You will select KTIP status as yes. You'll verify the KTIP semester. At this point, you will review the assessment data. So here is where praxis scores are verified by the institution, and you cannot digitally sign beyond this point if their praxis tests aren't in the system. And again, moving forward, we're going to have more discussion about whether that waive button is going to be left on the screen or not, or if there will be some type of condition, like if you click on waive, it may direct you in a different path. And there's going to be more to come on that. We're still in discussions on that. But main thing for the universities with the option 6 is whether, yes, they're ready to KTIP or no, they're not. check the verification box, and then you'll digitally sign, and that's it. Next one. Okay, so once the application process has been completed by the district, they initiated it, the applicant went in and completed their portion, the university was notified, and the university has signed off on their program recommendation. The final step in this process is an automated email will then go to this employing school district. They will receive a notification that an application is ready for final verification and submission. So this is the screen where a school district will see, and they'll be able to go to their online applications. You'll see that from the menu on the left. They'll be able to select online applications, and they can look at all CATP applications for their district. And there may be multiple institutions where the students are enrolled, but they will be able to review all TP applications that are attached to their district. And they'll, at that point, they'll go to that list of students, and they'll be able to do a final verification and submission. And got a question, will electronic signatures be accepted on the mentoring agreement? And I believe the answer to that is yes. Is that correct? Electronic signatures on mentoring agreement? So yeah. So yeah, since you all are uploaded, you'll just be uploading a document. It will be fine if they won't have to be original signatures mailed in. They won't have to be faxed in. We will want those mentoring agreements uploaded to the application. So electronic signatures will be fine in that case. For the approval process for the application, once the application is been verified by the district for final review, the application then is routed to the appropriate certification consultant here at the EPSB. This is where official transcripts will be matched up with the application. Again, if they've answered yes on any character and fitness questions, it will be routed to our legal for review. Once all materials are here and everything is verified that the application is complete, the first level certification consultant will create the credentials. So this will be the certification consultant that is responsible for that part of the alphabet usually. And then the application will be routed to a second level consultant for second review and final approval. Once the application receives final approval, the credential status in our system will be changed to certification issued. The applicant will be sent an email with instructions on how to download the certificate. District and applicant are notified by email that an application has been approved and the certificate is available for download and printing. If the EPP has indicated that the individual is KTIP ready, an email will also be sent out to the district's KTIP coordinator. And one other thing to add on that last slide, I think I added it on the CA1, but it wasn't in this PowerPoint or on this slide. This is also where once an application is completed, the university can look at your that screen that has all of your candidates that are enrolled in one of these programs, and you'll see that their application status should have changed from pending to approved at this point. And I had a question, does the EPP provide the transcript or is it the student's responsibility? It is the student's responsibility. I believe due to FERPA laws, they have to go through the transcript request process and submit that either electronically or by mail. But it is the university is more than welcome to let them know, hey, you're going to have to request a transcript, but it is ultimately the teacher's responsibility.
All right, some processing outcomes that we are very excited about. We think this will make things a lot more user-friendly for folks. This will allow the certificate holder to download and print his or her certificate. Once this is going strong, and we've worked out any possible glitches or hiccups. You know, sometimes that happens with new technology. But we will no longer issue and mail hard copy certificates. And the good thing about that is it will always be available to that certificate holder. They won't have to wait for a certificate in the mail. It will also allow the applicant, the teacher, the EPP, and district personnel that have KeySea access to see the status of that application online. You all are aware, I'm sure if you've worked with us for very long, that we get very, very busy in the summer. And there are only so many, 8 of us, 9 of us. And so sometimes the phone queues can become really long. So we think that this will help. Instead of having to call and see where that application is in the process, you'll be able to look online. Travel and walk-ins. We sometimes have people travel a great distance to bring in certain things, or, you know, if they have questions or whatever. So again, once this is online, that it will hopefully eliminate the need for that. Let's see, we have a question. Does the TP process begin February 1st as well? And the answer to that is yes.
The question is, please expand on what the districts will see when they initiate the CATP application. How will the candidate be listed as option 6 before the EPP has been notified of employment? Because the candidate is not officially in option 6 until they have the offer of employment, that candidate should show up in admission exit as a traditional program enrollee. That should be the process that's being followed now. It's just that when the I think when Scott, when the district selects, when they initiate the CATP application, do they see what type of program the person is enrolled in, or do they just see what, like?
You only see the option 6 programs.
Okay. So there may be, I think we had discussed this internally. There may have to be a process, like behind the scenes, where the district that wants to hire the teacher may have to put it, send an email or make a phone call to the university, because they're only going to see the choices of option 6 program or programs that the person is enrolled in. And if they are just then initiating the application, it may only show up as a traditional. It may not show up as an option 6 yet. So I think that's something that we have discussed, and they're
stop them at the very beginning. So once they enter the social and they're in a 6, 7, or 8 program, they're alerted that the person is not enrolled in option 6. So they need to contact this university.
All right. So Scott said that when the district enters the teacher's EPSB ID or social, if the person is not currently showing up enrolled in a program, it will give them a stop message that they'll need to contact the institution. So there will be that piece of the process where the district will have to contact or email the institution to let them know that they are in the process of hiring this person. At that point, the university can exit them out of the traditional program and put them into the option 6 program, so that the district can select the option 6 program that's in their area.
Is it correct that when the option 6 candidate is through with KTIP, they will still need to go back and file a CA1 app in order to get the final recommendation for a regular certificate?
Yes.
That is correct. Yes, the final process, once they've their final report has been completed, it will just be done online through them at that time, and just with the other, being recommended for a professional certificate. And one other thing I'll mention too that came up when we did our test run through the other day. it was brought to our attention that not every university, some universities only may have one or maybe two certification officers that are able to sign off on recommendations currently. Other universities may have multiple people that are involved in the process, but only one person who actually signs off on the recommendation. There will be, it's not currently set up yet where Scott said it will be active by the time this goes live, but there will be a certification officer read-only access. So if you are the certification officer who gathers the documents usually, or verifies programs, but maybe not the person who actually signs off, there will be a read-only access. And then the sign off, the person that actually puts in their password for digital sign off would be the listed as a certification officer. So I believe you'll just need to make sure to follow up with us to make sure your staff in your office who need the certification officer sign off status and the certification officer read only. We need to make sure we've got everybody set up with this correct roles and rights in our system.
All right. We gave you our emails in that first PowerPoint when I made the initial introductions. I wanted you to have this as well. This is the DCERT hotline. So if you think of something later on, I mean, certainly feel free to email me or any of us. But you can also send it to this email that you see on the screen. If you would, if it's a question about this, just in your title line, the subject of your email, put online apps question or Q. And that way whoever sees it first can route it to us, and we can get you answers. All right, we've got a couple more questions here. If a district wants to hire a student for a date in the future, can we switch the student to option 6 with a future date?
I'm thinking they're meaning an admission exit. So if the option, it depends on how far future in the future you're talking. If the district knows that they're going to have a position beginning February 1st, and we're not going to issue the certificate. We can't issue the certificate until we know that person is employed in that role. So if you're talking a couple days in the future, that would be fine. But if you're talking a couple weeks or a month or next semester in the future, then I don't think you can't admit them to the option 6 because they haven't officially started in that position yet.
Yeah.
Yes, now we cannot. Yeah, so that would be the same. I mean, if it's like next week, the person's being employed next week. Yeah, I think you can do that now, but right now we're using paper applications. You can write anything down on paper. I don't know that I don't know that it'll stop them if it's a future date, but we can't, even if it allows you to put a future date in it, we can't issue the certificate until we see that they're currently, that they're currently employed.
Mm-hmm. If there are others approved for signing off besides the CERT officer, will they have access?
Anybody with the sign-off access would be able to review the application and sign off on the application. If the institution only wants 1 or 2 people to be able to have access, maybe you've got one certification officer that just does CA1s and one certification officer that just does CATPs, then you would need to have 2 people with sign-off access. But if you're an institution that has one person that signs off on everything, but maybe 5 people that review the applications, then maybe there would be 5 people with read-only access and 1 person with sign-off access.
All right. At this point, I'm going to stop the recording, just so you know, but we are going to stay on the line. And I see we've got another question that has come in here, but let me stop this. And